Good morning, everybody. I am Corrado Costa, the organizer of this webinar. I'm a researcher at the Research Center for Engineering and Agro-Food Processing of CREA in Monterotondo, Italy. Welcome, everybody. I'm also the coordinator of the project Infoliva, which contributed to the organization of this webinar within the dissemination strategies of the project. The project Infoliva has been funded by the Italian Ministry of Agricultural, Food and Forestry Policies 3 years ago, and is now approaching to the conclusion of its activities. This webinar has been organized to share experiences and information on olive oil traceability in an informal way and at international level. This webinar is organized with 2 sessions. The first one mainly on analytical techniques, and the second one on techniques for traceability. There are 2 moments of discussion, if we will be able to come back on schedule. However, for further questions or ideas, you can contact directly the lecturers. Let me introduce Dr. Paolo Menesatti, that is the director of my research center, the Research Center for Engineering and Agri-Food Processing. Please, Paolo.
Thank you very much, Corrado. Are you listening to me? Okay. Yes. I'm the director of the Research Center for Engineering and Agri-Food Processing. We are coordinating the project. Our structure carries out activities in the field of biosystem engineering and agri-industrial and food processing, and especially with olives and olive oil. In this field of activity, we found a possibility to merge our strong competencies in terms of technology, especially in digital technology, on the other side, the strong competencies in chemistry and quality analysis of olive oil. And so the project starts in this perspective, and I'm very grateful to Corrado to coordinate the project, and I think I wish you good participation to this very important, interesting workshop. And let's now start the floor or the speech to Dr. Perry, who is the director of the other center involved in this project. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Enzo Perri. I'm the research director of a research center for olive, citrus, and tree fruit, or fruit crops of CREA, and I'm very happy to be here. Welcome everybody. We are very interested in extravergine olive oil traceability, and we are working from many years in this field, in this topic. Thank you very much for your participation, and also for your expertise.
Let me introduce Dr. Gualtiero Bittini, head of the research office of the Italian Ministry of Agricultural, Food and Forestry Policies.
Vi volevo semplicemente fare un saluto, portare, come dire, i saluti del Ministero a questa vostra iniziativa, e volevo rappresentarvi succintamente quello che il Ministero ha fatto sul fondo olio, sui soldi che sono a disposizione, come dire, sui nostri capitoli di spesa per quanto riguarda le attività di ricerca sull'olio. Noi, come sapete, abbiamo, come dire, avuto una dotazione finanziaria, la legge, il fondo olio del 2015, e diciamo a seguito di questo sono stati attivati una serie di linee di ricerca. In particolare, diciamo, sono state finanziate per 7 milioni di euro attività di ricerca complessivi sono questi 7 milioni, di cui 4 milioni per attività di ricerca messe a bando, poi 2 milioni e mezzo per affidamenti diretti fatti al CREA, e infine con 1 milione e mezzo sono stati finanziati 7 progetti di ricerca, sempre a seguito di una selezione pubblica e bando. Diciamo. Questo è 7 milioni di euro, non sono una cosa da poco. Poi sono stati finanziati 3 milioni di euro, per 3 milioni di euro sono state finanziate attività sulla difesa fitosanitaria da insetti nocivi e xylella, di cui 2 milioni di euro nel 2016 e 1 milione di euro nel 2015. Come sapete, sono stati finanziati i grandi progetti del CREA, sono Oil Genome per circa 340.000 euro, il progetto Molti per 750.000 euro circa, Infoliva per 415.000 euro circa, e poi un altro progetto in Nolitec per 1 milione di euro. Poi, diciamo, nel 2018 è stato fatto un bando per 1 milione e mezzo di euro e sono stati finanziati
20 seconds left.
Sono stati finanziati 7 progetti di ricerca per una durata triennale di ogni progetto. Ogni progetto è più o meno di circa 250.000 euro e sono tuttora in corso. Poi vi volevo dare l'informazione per quanto riguarda la recente statuizione sul fondo olio che riguarda la xylella. Sono stati appostati nel 2020 20 milioni di euro. Di questi 20 milioni di euro però la legge prevedeva che si dovessero spendere come dire, in 2 anni a partire dal 2020. Ora, siccome le attività che eravamo chiamati a sostenere hanno diciamo, sono attività in cui è coinvolta l'attività genetica, fondamentalmente sulla genetica degli ulivi, 2 anni di tempo, diciamo, a partire da settembre del 2020 ci sembrava una cosa che non potesse funzionare, quindi abbiamo richiesto una rimodulazione di spesa di questi fondi. Quindi abbiamo conservato 5 milioni di euro, 5 milioni di euro li abbiamo conservati dal 2020, nel 2021 avremo altri 5 milioni di euro e poi abbiamo chiesto, secondo le nostre regole di spesa, abbiamo richiesto che venissero spalmati gli altri 10 milioni di euro sia sul 2022 o 2023 o anche sul 2024, per avere il tempo per poter poi finanziare dei progetti di ricerca che abbiano un tempo più o meno lungo di 3 anni. Diciamo, tutto questo però, tutta l'attività che dovremo andare a svolgere sulla xylella fastidiosa, sulla genomica dell'ulivo finalizzata a contenere questo problema, diciamo, e deve passare attraverso, come dire, una proposta che dovremo fare al comitato. Come sapete, noi abbiamo cambiato il direttore generale, c'è il direttore generale da un mese, e quindi, diciamo, stiamo, come dire, approntandoci per poter, come dire, fare una proposta per suo tramite al comitato, come dire, al comitato previsto dalla legge, per poter poi partire, una volta che abbiamo l'approvazione, con i finanziamenti dei progetti di ricerca. Questo è il quadro complessivo, in 2 parole. Quindi soldi ce ne abbiamo, diciamo, abbiamo sul fondo olio quello che 7 milioni che vi ho rappresentato, in più abbiamo questi nuovi 20 milioni da spendere sulla ricerca sulla xylella fastidiosa. Punto, basta, io ho finito, vi ringrazio.
Thank you very much. Grazie. Cristina.
Thank you, Dr. Bettini. Good afternoon. My name is Cristina Cecchini from CREA Research Center for Engineering of Processing of Roma. Before starting the webinar, I would like to remind the speaker to respect the timing of the speech. Well, the first speaker is Corrado Costa. Corrado is the CREA Center for Engineering Agro-Food Processing of Montana. He coordinates 2 national projects, VP leader of 5 national projects, and collaborator in many. He has 6 patents and is author and co-author of almost 300 publications, half of these with the impact factor. His main topics are image analysis, sensor-based application, traceability, and multivariate artificial intelligence modeling in agriculture, fishery, and forestry sector. Today, Corrado gives us an introduction of extra virgin olive oils traceability, Infoliva project. Thank you.
Thank you, Cristina. I'll start my presentation presenting the Council for Agricultural Research and Economics, CREA, which is the greatest Italian research institution in the agri-food sector and is supervised by the Ministry of Agricultural, Food and Forestry Policies. We have 5,000 hectares farms, many employees, and 600 researchers. CREA is organized into 12 centers, 6 disciplinary centers, and 6 supply chain centers. The project Infoliva is coordinated by the Engineering and Agri-Food Processing Center, and a partner is the Olive, Fruit and Citrus Crop Center. Let's have a general olive oil production overview panorama. Olive cultivation is practiced in around 60 countries spread across 5 continents for a total of over 11 million hectares under cultivation. But its consumption extends to a total of almost 180 countries. The 40% of the world's olive oil comes from just 2 cultivars, out of a global variety heritage that counts around 1,500, of which 1/3 is present in Italy. Europe remains the leader in terms of the economic impact of the olive oil sector, contributing almost 71% of global turnover and over 41% of employment. So let's take a look to the traceability sector. Extra virgin olive oil is one of the food products at the base of the Mediterranean diet. Generally, extra virgin olive oil costs 4 or 5 times more than other vegetable oils. Therefore, the higher cost should be justified by higher quality guarantees. Nowadays, the traceability of food products has become a priority for both consumers and producers. Indeed, traceability can guarantee the quality of raw material, product certification, allowing a rapid identification of problematic product lots, and permitting the implementation of control systems to prevent fraud. In this framework, there are numerous analytical techniques, such as liquid chromatography coupled with mass spectroscopy, nuclear magnetic resonance spectroscopy, and also DNA-based methods. But these methods could be coupled with low-cost analytical methods experimented within the project Infoliva. There will be a lecture which exposes this argument. And the information on extra virgin olive oil traceability could be transmitted to consumers using smart labeling. In the project Infoliva, we analyzed more than 200 samples from 2018 to 2020. In the middle, there was the COVID-19, which created a lot of problems with the analysis and sampling. All the samples comes from most of all monocultivar. We have also some blends, mainly from Italy, but we have also some samples from other countries. We collaborate with the producer, some of them sent for free their products, and also with other projects such as the project Revolution by the University of Florence. Now I will show just very rapidly the organization of the project, evidencing the 4 work packages. In particular, the work package 2, led by Federico Pallottino, on the development of advanced info tracing system for quality control and certification of high quality oils. In this work package, we developed especially a prototype for olive oil traceability, and experimented an open source Visnir low-cost device to detect the origin and or the presence of adulterated samples with quite success. In the same work package, but led by Enzo Perri and also Carmela Anna Migliori, there are also a part on the analytical problems detected with isotope ratio mass spectroscopy, also plasma mass spectroscopy, and fatty acid analysis with gas chromatography, coupled with chemometric analysis. The second work package 3, led by Mauro Pagano, examined the process innovation by prototyping a grommer with heat exchanger and also ultrasounds. This prototype was implemented at the University of Perugia. Professor Maurizio Servili is the director of this activity, is the reference. Another VP, work package 4, works on the valorization of bioproducts of mechanical extraction of virgin olive oils. This work package is led by Flora Valeria Romeo. And it's very interesting because they examined and these bioproducts extracted by virgin olive oils. The last work package worked on the production of probiotic olives and derivative olive creams, and made the evaluation of their unconventional probiotic activities. This also is a very interesting activity. We published some.
Non stai condividendo niente, se devi condividere qualcosa.
Ah, ok. Just a moment. Okay. We published some papers at international level with impact factor. Now, in this moment, there are 5 published papers, and we are approaching to send other at least 4 or 5 papers on the project. And we organized already another webinar in Italy on the sustainable agriculture. You could find all the information on our website that is right now in Italian. I would like to thank you, in particular the Italian Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Forestry Policies for funding, especially supporting the project. I would like to thank all the project formal and informal participants, the olive oil producers, which sent us their products sometimes for free, and each of you who have listened to me. Thank you.
Oh, very well. Thank you. Now, Cinzia Benincasa, researcher at the CREA Research Center for Olive, Citrus and Tree Crops, Rende section. She's an expert in food chemistry, applications and determinations of isotopic ratios and trace elements for food traceability, investigation and characterization of secondary metabolites in plants and vegetable oils. Its contribution deal on quality and trace element profile of olive oils case studies. Please.
Thanks to Dr. Perry for the introduction. In this presentation, I wanted to include some results obtained from research activity carried out in the field of olive oil traceability using sophisticated analysis techniques. So, among all the laws promulgated over the years, the regulation AC number 178 from 2002 is certainly the one that represents the reference points for all the food operators in Europe. In fact, it lays down the general principle of food law, establishing the European Food Safety Authority, making traceability compulsory for all food and feed businesses. The legislation I read is very important because it lays down the general principle of food law, establishing the European Food Safety Authority, making traceability compulsory for all foods and feed businesses. And however, the veridicity of the indication concerning the origin of olive oil is an extremely delicate aspect, which is increasingly proposed as a critical element in the field of food fraud. And for olive oils, also is very important the regulation EU number 99 from 2012, which oblige to indicate on the label the origin of virgin and extra virgin olive oils. This is very important, but still now the community legislature did not in any way envisage the use of analytical methods for the ex post control of the veracity of the geographical origin information on the label. The need to not to rely exclusively on documentary checks to verify the origin of products in recent years has made possible a significant development of sophisticated analysis systems for the authentications of the origin of oils. Among these, stable isotopes and elemental analysis are those widely used for traceability and authenticity studies and for adulteration detections. Elemental composition play an important role for oil characterization and adulteration detection. In fact, by multi-element analysis, it is possible, for example, to verify the presence of metals in edible oils. Metals can be incorporated into the oils from the soils or be introduced during the manufacture of the foodstuff. Also, considering that each specific cultivar is characterized by its own ability to absorb mineral substances from the soil, the olive genotype could be an important discriminating factor, as well as the pedoclimatic conditions to which the plant is exposed. And moreover, contaminants could pass during the production process from raw material to the final product. In the same, stable isotopes analysis become an important tool for food traceability study. The natural abundance isotope variations, such as carbon, nitrogen, hydrogen, and oxygen, are used as geographic tracer or marker to determine the geographic origin of fruits, crops, vegetables, and food products from animals. Among the various techniques that can be used, one of the most promising is certainly the analysis of elemental composition, the trace elements, by means of inductively coupled plasma mass spectrometry. It is an elemental analysis technology capable of detecting most of the periodic table of elements at milligram to nanogram levels per liter. The oil is digested and then reconstituted in an aqueous matrix to stabilize element as an ionic solutions. And for elements such as carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, hydrogen, isotope ratio mass spectrometry is a powerful technique that allows the accurate measurements of small differences in the abundances of the considered isotopes. Because the isotope ratios of these elements can become locally enriched or depleted through a variety of kinetic and thermodynamic factors, measurement of the isotope ratios can be used to differentiate between samples which otherwise share an identical chemical composition. And from now on, I will show you some case studies undertaken for the traceability of origin and authenticity of olive oils. In this work, I wanted to show the results obtained analyzing the olive oils collected during the crop year 2018-2020 for the Infoliva project, as previously said by the coordinator Costa. In particular, very fast and easy, I want to show you how it could be possible to discriminate olive oil from the place we collect them. So Italy, Greece, Spain, Portugal, Turkey and Israel. And I want to just make sure that these data are just from the 1 year, the 2019. Still now we're trying to carry on and to process all the data from the last crop year. In this, we achieved a discrimination between the country, the olive oil from different countries, just considering the fatty acid methyl ester, the FAMES, the delta C with the ER mass spectrometry, and the trace element with the ICP-MS. And here, when we consider the Italian variety, the Italian oils, also here has been possible a discrimination between our Italian provinces. Also, the LDA gave a quite good variability, was a correct classification of most of the oils. In this work, the trace elements, after a statistical evaluation, have shown that oils produced from olives harvested from the ground have a richer trace element and mineral profile than oils produced from olives picked directly from the plant. In particular, olive trees irrigated with treated with wastewater produce the oils even richer in trace element and minerals. Therefore, this study has pointed out that the irrigation with treated wastewater adversely affects the quality of the oils found to be lampanti. In this work, 18 elements were used for the identification of the origin as a function of the production area of organic virgin olive oils from Caroline Coratina cultivars produced in the Italia region Calabria, Apulia, Umbria and Abruzzo. And here still the identification of the origin as a function of the production area was carried out in Sicilia virgin olive oils. In this study, chemicals, means all the routine analysis and things, and isotopes markers have contributed to clearly discriminate olive oils from southern Italy from those from northern Italy. And the last, the data showed here have demonstrated the possibility of using isotope of nitrogen for the discrimination between conventional and organic crops. The hypothesis was that the organic soils fertilizer have lower delta N value than the inorganic ones, and in particular in this study, olive drupes and leaves that never received any kind of fertilizer far from any pollution source or that received anorganic and copper treatment showed a natural enrichment of heavy nitrogen, whereas olive drupes and leaves samples that received conventional fertilizer treatment instead showed a preparation of nitrogen. I hope I have given you some clear examples of how important is the use of sophisticated techniques to trace the provenance and the veracity of what is written on the olive oil label. And if you can write to me, as previously said, for any curiosity or questions, and I apologize for the inconvenience I had, and I thank you all for your kind attention.
Thank you, Cinzia. Next speaker is Francesco Paolo Fanizzi, full professor of General and Organic Chemistry at the University of Salento. Editor-in-chief of Bioinorganic Chemistry and Application, is an expert of high-field NMR spectroscopy, used in the fields of chemistry, biology, pharmaceutical, and agriculture science. Dr. Fanizzi talks about metabolics and nuclear magnetic resonance for extra virgin olive oils traceability. Please, Professor.
Thank you. Thank you to the organizers, in particular to Enzo Perry, who invited me to give this talk. And let me try to start with the desktop. In a moment. What is it?
Okay.
Say okay. I think that you will see in a short while. This is the one. Well, I appreciate the previous presentation, since she started with all the problems related to the extra virgin olive oil traceability, and in particular to the geographical origin, as you will see, is one of the main goals of our work in recent years. I think that all of you, if you are able to watch the presentation, you are all aware of what has happened several years ago with this. With this illustration story in the New York Times telling that Italian olive oil was not actually Italian, it was just made up with labels just telling untruth. stories, and we at that time we were already involved in the problem of extra virgin olive oil classification and possibly also origin assessment, since the legislation to compulsory labeling of the extra virgin olive oil, Cinzia Benincasa was talking about before, was supported strongly. Strongly supported the aim of the Apulia region with his member of the European Parliament who managed to obtain also this compulsory labeling, as you will see. But as Cinzia said, no scientific way to assess that, not official methods are available. At that time, when Nicholas Blanchman raised the question in the New York Times, I had an internet talk with him, telling him that if the problem was that, probably the solution could have been just setting up some specific database able to discriminate Italian with respect to other origins of olive. And we had at that time published a very simple, very naive, I must say at this time, database demonstrating that blend EVOs coming from shells in US were not actually what they were supposed to be, Italian extra virgin olive oil with Apulian provenience in particular. And of course, at that time, there was a lot of discussion on the web about the story, and there were also some economical problems. And fortunately, now the situation is improved. But the problem is still there, because this is the regulation, the European regulation, stating the compulsory labeling, Cinzia was telling before, and that was in 2009, and not yet official methods are available. And this is a problem for producer going on outside the EU market, for example in US, where they want that somebody tells the customers, how can you tell that if in the label is written 100% Italian, what you are selling it is actually 100% Italian, because they can be also taken to the court by the consumer association and so on. So we had to arrange something, and we started thinking if fingerprinting was possible, like people fingerprinting. Nowadays you have electronic passport containing, rather than a list of things, which is usual analytical methods, listing a number of results, you can have the whole picture of something. In fact, you can have in the electronic passport the whole picture of the person, and you can be recognized as well when you go in electronic gateways. And in my idea, nuclear magnetic resonance is a bit like that. It's just a slight complicated camera able to tell you that what is in the sample is all there, can be stored as an image of what is there. It doesn't need previous separation, it doesn't need the pre-treatment. So you see whatever is in there, even if you are not looking at it, you see the whole picture, and you can use the whole picture just as a picture, just using the way normally multivariate analysis uses also for fingerprint detection and for fingerprint discrimination. Another advantage of magnetic resonance is that you need a very limited amount of sample. We are now able, we are in the second year of monitoring all the grand field collection, and we actually need a very limited amount of olives to extract oil, which is almost can be almost overlapped as results with a good commercial oil with the extraction process kept under the right temperature, because we of course we use much lower temperature starting from liquid nitrogen and up to 5 degrees, not more than that. And the limited amount can be used to obtain a wealth of information, and this can be obtained not only in the normal spectra, but proton spectra, but also with the suppression of the main signals. You can also look at the minor fraction, which contains a wealth of information specific for the samples. And you know, the database are built in a usual way. All the spectra are reduced to buckets and then to a row of numbers, and the row of numbers of similar samples can be, of course, with multivariate analysis arranged in a 2-dimensional or 3-dimensional score plot, and you can also tell that you have classes of samples, and you can do prediction, and you can arrange prediction in order to assess if something belongs to one or the other class, and so on. This was one of the very first databases we used just to support a company in at least having a sort of internal audit, because not having the possibility of arranging any official method to assess that something originates from some place, they at least they can tell the customer they arranged an internal audit with this chart flow in here, telling that to build up the database you need the reference soils. Possibly these reference soils, they need to be monocultivar from specific regions in Italy, and then you are sure that you can do that. We can do that now at single tree level, because we can collect ourselves the olive at the right time, and we can get the oil. And usually, for example, this is a Coratina based blend with smoothers, the Coratina from Apulia, the smoothers come from Apulia or Calabria, for example, and you can check if the blend is inside the reference model. You can also check for monocultivar oil belonging to the sample specific monocultivar you have used. And now the database has evolved. Recently we published a work with several hundred of 100% Italian blends, as you will see in this slide. And then you also can look at the characteristic of the blends, or the characteristic of the monocultivar samples, looking at the specific composition. This is a composition in major components, but you can also have a composition in minor components, and you can also look at the composition in much smarter way, just looking around the first component, the spectrum, where pulls the sample in one side or the other side, who is the responsible for pulling the samples in one side or the other side, and the same you can do in the other components, and so on. And this is a very huge database. This was a national program which involved also CREA, 450 sample from Apulia, the major producer in Italy, were followed for 2 separate years, giving a wealth of information. As you will see, first of all, we had a very good database useful for assessing the commercial samples, but not all in that. We first demonstrated that Coratina was the less variable variety according to two different harvesting years, which were very different at that time, 2014, 2015, and 2013, 2014. And we managed to demonstrate that by a specific result of multivariate analysis. And also we demonstrated that NMR can merge data from different instruments, which is something very complicated if you use a different technique. You can get just one database using different data coming from different field instruments. And we also managed to assess that 1H NMR was much better than near-infrared or meteorological data built databases, and we did that by the use of artificial neural network. We also dealt with PDO and PGI oils. In this case, we demonstrate that Terra di Bari, a commercial sample, could be checked not only on the basis of written story of the oil, but also by some scientific application of the databases. And we also were interested in minor differences. For example, you see that if you use a genomic approach, you will see that the Coratina is the same not only in Apulia and somewhere very far away from Apulia. Although if you use the metabolomic approach, you see the difference between the Castel del Monte and Bitonto, which are very close, although being in Apulia, nevertheless they have slightly different, as the people in the region already knows, being a hilly region, the one of hilly part of the Apulia, the one of Castel del Monte, has a different taste of the oil. We also dealt with the PGI Tuscany, which is more complicated, since Tuscany is very complicated region with not almost flat like Apulia, and you see that the result demonstrated that you have different macro areas with this macro area which belongs to Colline Metallifere, which has its own story and is very difficult, although PGI Tuscany is already difficult because it contains over 30 variety of olives. The pedoclimatic condition get more complicated, the solution of the problem of arranging a very good database useful for application. Nevertheless, we did that just by differentiating the two different areas belonging, as we have seen, to Colline Metallifere and the rest of the region. Another thing, the last thing, is the percentage of smoothers. You can also have a linear correlation to check the percentage of a smoother when a smoother is not Italian. For example, this was Shemlalish we used to smoother the Coratina, and we built up several percentages model, and when we mixed the batches, we also got a very nice regression line which could be used to assess the percentage of the used cultivar. And we have been working with Encyclopedia, as I said before, also looking at the climate data correlation. For example, you see in this case that Italy and Spain overlap somewhere. Those are general blend, but if you look at the discrimination of the Italian samples within Italy, you see that the overlap doesn't occur for all the region of Italy. It occurs for, of course, the more similar on the climatic point of view. And that was all. The conclusion is that irrespective of the considered system complexity, specific reference database like the one you have seen could be built, and they are very useful for producer, seller, final customer, or organization. And what they do is help people to put the gate around high quality EVOs from specific origins, also justifying the high added value of the product and the sustainability of the related supply chain. This is the huge list of people involved in this huge work, and those are my colleagues here in Salento at Lecce. And thank you all for the attention.
Thank you, Professor Fanizzi. We have just some props with the next speaker, Professor Sajad. And so now we go on with the next speaker, Dottoressa Elettra Marone. Elettra Marone is a researcher in arboriculture at the University of Teramo and professor of sustainable primary production. Her scientific interests in oil culture are influence of the environment on the olive productivity and olive oil traceability and quality, variability of oleoperin content in olive cultivar leaves, and the use of olive pomace to improve the quality and healthiness of milky and dairy products. She talks about authenticity and quality of the extra virgin olive oil, the role of PTR, TOF, MS techniques. Please.
Okay, thank you to the organizer, and thank you everybody, and good afternoon, ladies, gentlemen, and colleagues. And sorry, I have to upload my presentation.
We ask Professor Fanizzi if you can
presentation.
You can stop sharing your screen.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Professor Fanizzi.
Yes.
Could you please stop sharing your screen?
Yeah, sorry for that.
Okay. So Elettra, now you can share your presentation.
Yes, I try to upload my presentation. Sorry, I'm not so good. Oh,
Sì? C'è già fatto.
Sorry, I'll try. I open.
On the top right, you find the condividi contenuto.
Sì.
And then, desktop.
Okay.
Desktop. Okay.
Can you see?
Not yet. Not yes. Okay, thank you. No, we have lost you. We have lost you. I suggest to pass to the next presentation. Mariam is inside. No? Cinzia? No. And so let's go on with Carmela Anna Migliori. Cristina?
Okay. Yes. Carmela is right?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Carmela Anna Migliori took a degree in food science and technology at the University of Catania in 2002 and PhD in biotechnology of foodstuff at the University of Milan. She's working as a researcher for CREA Research Center for Engineering and agro-food processing in Korea. Main research topics are chemical characterization by chromatography techniques of vegetable matrix as influenced by different crop treatments, instrumental evaluation of plant response to water deficit. She talked about profiling of quality, health, promoting characteristics of monovarietal extra virgin olive oils from center and south of Italy. Please, Melita.
Okay, can you see my presentation?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon. I will talk to you about the rule of extra virgin olive oil in Mediterranean diet. These terms was used for the first time by Ansel Keys in his 7-country studies. He found a good correlation between low incidence of cardiovascular disease and the typical diet of a Mediterranean area, such as in southern of Italy, Greece or Spain. In this kind of diet, there was a replacement of fat and proteins from animal source with legumes or olive oil, extra virgin oil. And the positive effect of this oil in human health is to be considered in correlation with this composition, in particular with the composition in fatty acid, with the high concentration of monounsaturated fatty acid. Diets rich in this kind of fatty acid causes in human lower total LDL cholesterol levels in blood, a reduction of blood pressure, an improvement of carbohydrates metabolism, and low incidence of arteriosclerosis. Moreover, in olive oil, there is a high concentration of phenolic compounds. Phenolic compounds is an heterogeneous class of molecules, and the peculiarity of these compounds is the high antioxidant properties. In EVO oils, hydroxytyrosol and tyrosol are the main represented phenolic compounds, but in the last year, researchers gained their attention on saccharides, is another class of phenolic compounds, in particular on oleocanthal. Oleocanthal is the responsible of the tingling sensation of newly pressed EVO oils. It possesses adibuprofen-like hydrocyclooxygenase inhibitory activity, and that is the responsible of the anti-inflammatory effects of oleocanthal. In this project, we quantified oleocanthal by HPLC technique in the many samples of EVO oils after 3, 6, 9, and 12 months from production. We also determined the total polyphenol by the CDR Food Lab system, and we determined the peroxide index by CDR Food Lab system. The inclusion of the obtained data in a bottle label can give to the final consumer additional information about the consumed oil, about the stability, the nutraceutical potential, and also on taste of oil. We analyzed the monovarietal oil obtained from Carolea, Coratina, Dolce di Rossano, Ogliarola Salentina, Carboncella, Frantoio Leccino, and Ottobratica, came from Puglia region, Calabria region, and from Rome. I will show you only the main results we obtained. Oil from Coratina and Carolea varieties show with the highest content in total polyphenol and in oleocanthal. As concern Dolce di Rossano variety, we noticed a deep difference among the tested sample, and oleocanthal polyphenols level seemed to be influenced by the harvesting time of processed groups. And moreover, until the end of the shelf life, the peroxide value was always under the limit value defined by law, that is 20 milliequivalent of molecular oxygen for kilograms of oil. Finally, oleocanthal losses during the sample storage was around 17 and 27%. Thank you very much for your attention, and for any question you can contact me at this email address. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Melita. And so Elettra is ready?
Yes, sorry, I have two webinars because
Elettra, you have to share your presentation now. No, she's out again.
And
I suggest to skip to the second part of the webinar, and then we'll be back on the first when Elettra, but also if they solve the problem, Mariam and Ashif, if they solve the problem, we will be back at the end of the second session. So let's start the second session on technology for olive oil traceability. And I introduce my colleague and friend Federico Pallottino. He is a researcher since 2017 at CREA. He is an expert regards application of digital engineering technologies and numerical methodologies in environmental, agri-food, and agro-industrial biosystems. In details, he is an expert in ICT, imaging, spectrometry, proximal and remote sensing, inferential or predictive multivariate modeling, electronics, and open source software. Advanced traceability and info tracing integration. So Elettra, we start with Federico, then we will back to you. Okay, let's spread the word to Federico, please.
Hi everybody, thank you Corrado for introducing me, but however you feel, so if Elettra wants to present, it's fine to me, so just decide. It's okay? Okay, I'll go on then. Good. Can you hear me properly? Okay, good.
Yes.
Just 1 second. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Great. So, I will not dwell myself on introduction because we've been introduced over and over during the afternoon. So this is the presentation. And it's talking about the prototype for traceability we've been developing within the project framework, Infoliva. So before starting to talk about technology, let's talk about what traceability means. It's to basically includes and comprehends all the technology that can be used to trace materials, but processing of the food as well, or something else from the beginning till the end to the consumption or final its final form. But this concept actually can be broadened, and we can start talking about info tracing. That is not just to trace what the physical characteristic the product or its production phases are or were, but includes all the storytelling of the farm, in our case, producing the oil. Okay, this is just an example. So we've been developing this technological traceability system. We call it TTS, which include a series of parts. So basically, this can be named as software, mainly open source, that we've been coding ourselves with the help of colleagues of us, which supported us, and tags, RFID tags, gateway, obviously, to read the tags presence and the information included, and afterward we developed an additional activity which regard the portable Vis-Near spectrometer that Corrado has been naming before. So this obviously includes an app. So software is a mobile software as well, as we were saying in the beginning. And we've been developing this app within the project that was dedicated to the reading and to the insertion of information along the Evo traceability. So to collect data and structure data and send the data to remote database for subsequent synchronization and elaboration. And this using a series of sensors, so GPS, Bluetooth, which normally are equipped within a smartphone nowadays. So these are just example we can just insert in field directly associate tags with the trees, so cultivar, or with the maturation stage of olives, and manage the data, so send, receive, packages, etc. So where did we do this within all the process? So basically the first place was on the plant. So we've been tagging the single plant with the coin-shaped tags and nails, so hammering inside the tree. And it's a rugged system, so it will not scratch away. It's easily visible from away, so you can just find it easily and go there with this. That is the device we've been developing to read and communicate with smartphone and send the data. And we've been tagging all the plants and georeferencing everything, also flying with drones and reconstructing the orthophoto with the specific software. The second place where we've been placing the tags regard when the harvest would happen. So that we call it RFID2. And in this case, we decided to use this flexible rubber RFID tag because it was not easy to break. It was easy to node to the crate. And so we've been introducing through the app within the tag at harvest a series of information regarding weight, olive maturity, defects, and other things. So this is anyway is really customizable. So you can just modify the app, insert new parameters. The system is really results to be really flexible and quite easy to use once has been coded right. Then we moved to the mill, the third place where we did something, and this is a really small mill, and basically we registered the information which were related to the yield, so oil extracted, but another time it's possible to modify the system and the software and the database and structure new parameters to include. And another point crucial regards all the qualitative characteristic of our oils. And obviously this cannot be detected fastly and rapidly, directly, real time or in field. So this information needs to be provided by specialized laboratories that will assess the characteristic that will be printed on the labels, but can include a series of other parameters that for which there is no space on the labels, so are not normally written down for further interest of the consumers, and can be stored within our system. Okay, so this is another chance the flexibility of the system is handing you. And then in the end, what's happening basically on the bottle when the bottle go to the retailer. We decided to structure a system using a scratch and win solution. So basically this can be thought as a gamification method. So there is a QR code, but this QR code could be read by others. And to ensure the consumer, we decided to cover it basically with special paint that can be scratched to read the QR code. And in this way, you can scan, and through a mechanism, you can just the person who buys can have a reward, and this reward basically can be spent on a reference platform, okay, that we decided. And we want to mention that for safety reasons, all this information and the main part of these steps can be encrypted within blockchain systems. Everybody's talking about blockchain today, but they are really, we need to pay attention on how we decide to use them and which kind of information we want to add. So what can the consumer do at home? After scratching, can read with a smartphone, or just all smartphones have specific app and QR code reader included, and can be then redirected to a website where they can read all the storytelling about the product, can even get in contact with producers and have all a set of facilities which can enabling a lot of possibilities. So basically this sum up what I was saying. So these are the phase where we have been introducing a technology or something. So standing tree, at harvest time, olive processing, so in the mill, where the analysis of the oil composition in terms of nutritional values are made, final product in terms of bottles or other containers used to store the oil, and the terms of possibility the consumer can have with a bottle in his hand. The actors that can participate, so from the producers to the consumers, where the tags or other system are used, and which device are used to read the information of this device. Moreover, we made a study to understand what is the economic impact and value of this system, simulating three farming level, production level, sorry. So farm level, consortium level, industrial level with this production per year. And we found out there were other two traceability systems compared that I didn't present here, but basically we need to look at this. So for a bottle of 250 milliliters, 0.75 at 1 liter, this is the increase in terms of percentage of the price at the three levels. So we can say that at consortium level start to be a valuable option, while at the industrial level its impact is very, very low. So it's nice to consider. This is another action we are undertaking. Corrado just cited it as well. And in regard the development on a new naked sensor of an app to correlate values of nutritional values of oil, and to make detailed analysis with a low-cost spectrophotometer. And this is a Wisnir, operates in a Wisnir range, has been developed a specific hub, and we are making we are applying multivariate statistical analysis and INN model as well, to considering two case study, which is the detection of geographical origins. Many studies dealt with this in the past, they are doing it now, and to detect adulteration of EVO, which in lab we prepared with the different percentage of other oils, as you can read here. So mainly, what we can conclude with, we can say that this system, all the traceability system, this in particular, because we tried it, can have a potential impact in reducing fake information and increasing the consumer's interest for our product, but normally cannot eliminate it. So all these systems are based on a trust. And we need to take it into consideration. This is important because even blockchain are really safe, really strong, but if you feed to the system a fake information, then you will certify a fake information till the end. That's it. And but there are other interesting applications which regards the information and the modeling of the data within years, for example, that can be of help in terms of precision agricultural strategy from an agronomical point of view. So to see what kind of olives are ripening first, in which kind of our field, and in which percentage, which year, and we can make provision of which oil and how will be in terms of quality as well. And this is interesting too. So thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Federico. And we will go on with the second part of program. And so the next speaker is at the VTT Technical Research Center of Finland, in research area of sensor integration, and specifically with the research team of flexible and printed device. She received her Master of Science degree in graphic arts from Helsinki University of Technology in 2002, and after graduation has started to work at VTT. She has research experience in the field of printed functional solution, specifically related to printed sensor indicators, including smart tags. Her speech concerns smart tags enabling product quality monitoring. Please, Lisa.
Okay, hello. I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. Yeah, there has been some connection issues, but I hope it's stable during this next 10 minutes. So I'm going to tell you about the smart tag technology that can offer several benefits to food sector, especially for product quality monitoring. And so smart tags, they are visual elements that combine information carriers such as 2D barcodes and NFC tags with environmental sensing capabilities. And this enables that the information scanned from the tags can change dynamically depending on surrounding conditions. And additionally, if software intelligence is also combined into this, such as GPS location or user profile data, context-aware services can be developed. And in technological side, there are several options to combine two-dimensional barcodes and functional inks. And the functional inks are the kind of inks that react to changes in environmental conditions with visual color change. And options to do this, like in the picture in the left, is that there could be specific sensor areas, such as the green bar in that picture, integrated into the code. Or another option at the right bottom corner is that the whole code is printed with a reactive ink, making it visible only at certain conditions, or some parts of the code can be printed with the color changing inks. And at the top is also another option where there are no sensor areas inside the code, but more like these yellow letters inside a bottle that are used for optical character recognition. And for achieving this type of codes, of course, certain enabling technologies are required, such as these functional inks. And there already are several commercial functional inks available that could be used as the sensing area mentioned in the previous slide. But there are also indicators and sensors that could be used together with the 2D barcodes or NFC tags to enable smart tags. And a few words about the indicators. So these are sensors that are based on optical reading, usually based on color change. And usually compared to just the standard thermochromic inks, for example, these indicators are actual systems and they can involve multiple processing steps such as activation and encapsulation in order to be functional ones. And if we use printing technologies to make these indicators, we can use these indicators as inks then and integrate them easily with 2D barcodes. And at VTT, for example, we have developed several printable indicator technologies as listed here in this slide. And here are some examples how we have integrated these indicators into smart tags. So we have used the sensor area principle presented a few slides ago, meaning that there is this color bar at the bottom of the code. And for example, with the humidity indicator in the middle of the slide, this blue bar disappears when the humidity inside a package is too high. And similarly, with the nitrogen indicator at the right, the blue bar appears when there is nitrogen present in a package due to a fish product starting to spoil. And what does this actually mean for the reading of the code? So there is this 2D barcode scanning software available from App Store from a company called Upcode. And this app is capable of detecting if there is this colored bar at the bottom of the code or not. And depending if this bar is there or not, the software can direct to a different website. So for example, with the nitrogen indicator, when there is no blue bar, it can go to a website that says that the product is in good condition. And then when the blue bar is appearing, the same code can direct to a website that says that your product might not be in good condition anymore. And the beauty of this is that the user doesn't have to understand about the colors anything, because the software does the interpretation of the different colors and this way returns the correct information to the user. And originally, the concept of smart tags was developed in a Tag It Smart Horizon 2020 project that was finished already 2 years ago. And in this project, we had a couple of pilots that were implemented in real scale. So actually in quite a large scale with real end users. And one of these pilots was, we called it a digital beer, because we integrated smart tags that were able to monitor temperature onto beer bottles. And these smart tags were used at different stages of the product life cycle to give detailed information about the product. And every time the smart tag was scanned, the temperature data was stored in a cloud service to be available for further use. And another pilot in this project was to use smart tags for brand protection of wine and honey products. And in this pilot, the smart tags were used to prove that the product is authentic, but also to make sure that the temperature has not been too high at some point of the product life cycle. And this was especially important for the honey case. And after Tag Smart, we have continued with smart tags in this EIT food project last year. So there we investigated what kind of benefits and value to end users, that included also consumers, can see in this smart tag technology. We tried to define what are their expectations and to which product categories the smart tags could be the most suitable ones. And here are some benefits that we have been able to identify in a general level. So of course, the smart tags can provide better consumer engagement, since they enable the direct communication between the brand owner and the consumer. And of course, at the same time, allow more transparency for the full value chain, because communication with the help of these codes can be improved. And of course, since the smart tags are sensitive to different environmental conditions, depending on what is the use case, they can also improve the product quality and safety, and also serve as a product authenticity guarantee. And another benefit could be that the food waste, or generally also packaging waste, could be reduced, and the tags can also help with the recycling of the packages. And basically all of this could be achieved with a printable tag that is both cost efficient and easy to manufacture. So thank you for your attention, and here is my email in case you want to contact me after this meeting.
Thank you, Lisa. Now I would like to introduce Simona Violino. She's a PhD student in engineering for energy and environment at the University of Tuscia in Viterbo, and she is conducting her PhD on the Infoliva project. Her research activities regard the traceability of extra virgin olive oil through innovative engineering methods and technologies for valorize and guarantee the made in Italy and stimulate consumers toward an informed consumption. Please, Simona.
Okay. Thank you, Corrado, for introducing myself, and hello and welcome everyone. Within Infoliva project, we proposed 3 different technologies for bottle level traceability through
yes, use the presentation on the PowerPoint. Okay. F5. Yes, there.
Okay.
No, not yet. Okay. Yes.
Okay. Okay, and the first one technology is the NFC tag. Is placed in the external label. Consumers activating their smartphone antenna NFC can read the additional information about Evo traceability and its production origin. The second technology is a patented tamper-proof device named Hub, and it's composed by a newly designed bottle cap, which externally covers the traditional one. RFID adhesive label containing a unique code is applied to close the 2 valves of the additional bottle cap. And finally, we proposed a QR code printed in the external label, protected by a scratch win system. This system is a gamification method and which protect QR code in order to allow the consumer who buy the product to obtain the reward. This system is implemented with blockchain, and once the consumer purchase a product, scratching the label and framing the QR code with smartphone, you receive with along a product information a digital token. The questionnaire was proposed through CREA website and face-to-face interview. The questionnaire was divided into two sections, a short socio-demographic questions and specific questions related to EVO traceability. Total respondents of the questionnaire were 1,120, and only 15 people declare that they don't consume extra virgin olive oil. EVO consumers, EVO Italian consumers were willing to pay 10 euros per liter of EVO bottle, and 94% of the consumer are interested in knowing the traceability of EVO, and in addition, consumers were willing to pay an average additional price equal to the 70.8% for integration traceability technology. Considering these technologies, 52% of consumers choose the QR code protected by a scratch and win system, and only 12% didn't choose any technologies. The QR code blockchain system appears the most attractive technology. This is probably due from one side to its pricing winning mechanism and gamification approach. And another important advantage of this technology is the inalterability of traceability information input along the supply chain guaranteed by the blockchain. These results were published in international journal, namely Foods. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Simona. You listen me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, thanks, because I take off the microphone. Okay, we are ready to the presentation of Elettra.
Okay.
Are you ready, Elettra?
Yeah.
Okay.
I
solve your problem.
Sorry, I closed all. I don't know. I'll try to upload my presentation. Okay, I have it to.
Okay. I just a moment, because I present to you your presentation. Authenticity and quality of the extra virgin olive oils, the role of the PTR TOF MS technique. Please, Elettra.
Thank you, Dr. Cecchini, and I'm really sorry with everybody. Sorry I will present today a speech prepared with my colleague, Dr. Tahiti, about the authenticity and quality of the evolved role of the PTR TOF MS technique. And volatile organic compounds are compounds with low molecular weight that vaporize at room temperature and determine the aroma of a product. Wax present in the environment are emitted from different sources and materials, natural and non-natural. And the volatile organic compounds play a key role in agro-industrial processes and in all food sciences, as they are at the origin of the aroma and flavor of food. And each food product has a characteristic aroma depending on the concentration and perception threshold of the consumer, such as it is possible to compare the volatile profile to a fingerprint. The content and the composition of VOC directly influence the perception and the acceptability of food by consumers, and that is why they have a fundamental role in agro-industrial processes. They can be successfully used as a non-invasive tool to evaluate the quality and acceptability of products, and with suitable instruments, they can also be used to study the different stages of production processes and or identify the origin and presence of any fraud and sophistication. And the olive oil aroma is due to different molecules, aldehydes, ketones, alcohols, ester, hydrocarbons, and furans, etc. The volatile organic compounds of the oil perceived as a flavor are almost generated by the crushing operation, and we could define them secondary aromas, since primary aromas are absent in the olive fruit. The volatile compounds are released during the crushing, about 70 to 80%, and continue to form even in the phase of malaxation, about 20 to 30%. I immediately start with this slide because we understand from the title of this recent work published by Conte and other authors in the 2020 how the current European legislation regarding the marketing of virgin olive oil is complex, laborious, expensive, slow, and moreover also with a heavy environmental impact due to the presence of reagents necessary for chemical analysis, harmful to environment and dangerous to human health. It should not be surprising that for the virgin olive oil, unique among food products, there is such a complex control system, which even provides for a compulsory organoleptic assessment for the attribution of products to the different trade categories. And if we ask ourselves, first of all, why this procedure was imposed on virgin olive oil, the answer is that this is due to the particular nature of the oil, which physically represents a part of the fruit from which it is separated exclusively by mechanical means. The oil in the fruit cell is enclosed in small compartments, that are broken together with the cellular complexes during the crushing. And these tiny droplets that are released are transformed during the milling phase into larger drops, and such that they can then be separated by centrifugal force or by simple surfacing. And to deal with the problems of air pollution, an equipment based on physical principles was developed, the proton transfer reaction time of flight mass spectrometer, the PTR TOF-MS, suitable for measuring extremely small quantities of pollutants in the atmosphere. In a short time, this technique was also successfully used to analyze volatile compounds detectable in the headspace of food products, and mainly in those product categories where flavors are particularly important, and among the first, the olive oil. The PTR TOF-MS allow a rapid acquisition of the volatile profile fingerprint of each sample, determining the compounds at very low concentration with high mass resolution and without the sample alteration. And the PTR can in general confirm the validity of the food certification systems by preventing anomalous samples from being fraudulently marketed with quality marks or in non-corresponding commercial categories in an objective, rapid way without manipulation of the sample, giving measurable and repeatable results. And this slide schematically illustrates the procedure we use to build the database necessary to correctly classify the samples and subsequently determine their trade category. Oils from different areas of Italy, Europe, and other continents, South America, North America, are collected during the oil campaign. In the two hemispheres, the samples are stored, sealed in a climatic room at about 16 degrees centigrade. At the end of the harvesting time, all the oils are simultaneously evaluated, subjecting each individual sample contemporary to the panel test and the PTR analysis. The obtained data matrices are then submitted to multivariate statistical analysis. And the evaluation of the data obtained by the PTR requires supervised classification methods such as PLSDA, we have seen, or ANN, which allow the implementation of very performing models applied on the chemiometric data matrices obtained from the PTR. And the chemiometric classification model proposed in this work in particular are based on the box fingerprint acquired by the PTR. That allows to distinguishing olive oil samples of different trade categories. It was demonstrated that the entire volatile profile can be useful to classify oils belonging to different trade categories as the panel test, and the different qualities and types of EVO can also be split by using the fruity intensity. The reliability of classification proposed here is very high. Indeed, this instrument does not require any sample pre-treatment and allows to identify compounds with low molecular weight, methanol, ethanol, compared to other ones. Given our results and the emerging need of the olive oil sector that requires to develop analytical tools to support or integrate the panel test, this work opens the way for the use of PTR coupled with an appropriate multivariate analysis as a quick, cheap, and not pollutant tool with high confidence level and comparable to the panel test for the olive oil quality identification. And in this slide, we like to show you a preview of our latest work, which will be shortly published. In order to develop an instrumental method able to supporting the sensory analysis for the virgin olive oil trade classification and separating the category of EVO, oils free of any of flavor, from directly edible oils of a lower class, it is necessary to have a large database able to include sources of variability, such as the influence of the cultivar, place of geographical origin of the product, oil separation system. The database is obtained by the instrumental analysis result related to the judgment of a panel test. And it is for this purpose that since 2015, we started to build this database, which to date includes almost 800 samples evaluated both from an instrumental and sensory point of view. And a model was built on the chemiometric data, of which we present here a very robust scatter plot, which justify 95% of the variability of the data and which separates very clearly the EVO from the others. It should be noted that to build this database, all supplied and declared extra virgin directly by producer were used coming from oil mills and also found on the large scale retail market, or labeled as extra virgin, but largely resulted as not EVO by the organoleptic evaluation with the presence of flowers. And finally, working only on the true EVO samples, otherwise we obtain the fingerprint of the flowers, we are studying the possibility of using the PTR data for the traceability of the EVOS as geographical and genetic origin. And in parallel, we are trying to identify objective quality levels independently of traditional brands in general. And based on the experimental result obtained by the scientific community, it is possible to consider the use of the PTR TOF-MS at 2 levels. That is, as a tool for the consumer safeguard in the commercial use of the product, able to guarantee the EVO authenticity, absence of adulterations, and commonly used in the trade, and as a support for the official panel test, with appropriate verifications and validation procedures, considering that the legal condition exists because this method is based on sensory judgments that can be replicated by means of an instrument. And unexpectedly, the possibility of subrogating the activity of the panels become extremely important in times of global pandemic. And thanks to the ease of use of this tool, which does not require manipulation of pretreatment of the sample, thanks to its environmental safety, because it does not require reagents and tools for analysis, and thanks to the quickness of responses and the high sensitivity and the repeatability of the results, this tool is particularly promising for responding to the 2 requisites required in the article cited in the first slide, that are quality and authenticity. And thank you for your attention. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Elettra, for your interesting presentation. Now, Enzo Perri could introduce Ashif. Enzo.
Yes, Ashif, how are you?
I'm fine, Enzo. Nice to hear you.
Okay, welcome.
Thank you so much. So thank you so much for inviting me, for giving this opportunity. Really, the last presentation was very nice. I never heard about this technique, so it's very nice presentation. Nice work.
I'm sorry, one moment, please. Okay. Then I introduce you Professor Ashif Zayad. Is biochemistry professor at University of Balochistan in Quetta, Pakistan. His professional interests are quite diverse, which include investigation of biochemical and molecular markers in plant, human, animal samples. He has published several scientific articles in peer-reviewed journals with a total citation over 600. Its communication deal on bioclimatological effects on biochemical properties of olive oil from different Italian cultivars of Oil Aroma grown in Balochistan, Pakistan.
Okay, so thank you very much, Enzo Perri. So what I am, it's because of you people. I spent very good time with you people in Oliviculture Institute in Rende, Cosenza. And really, I would like to come back if I will get any type of any sort of opportunity. And still this work that I'm going to present briefly. It's also the collaboration work with the Enzo Perri and especially with Cinzia. And Dr. Cinzia helped us a lot. So I cut short my presentation with few slides. I don't know how to share my my screen.
On the top right corner,
okay.
Find a share.
Yes. Okay. Fine. I found it. Okay. Thank you. And Okay, so is it visible?
Not yet.
No. Okay.
You must wait.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Here we are. We can see your screen.
Okay, so this was a bit introduction that we bioclimatological effects on biochemical profiles of.
We can see only the folder, not the presentation. You have to share your desktop.
Okay, I shared the desktop. Let me do it again.
You have to stop sharing and share one more time.
Okay.
Okay, try again to share. In the same way, but you have to select the screen.
Now can you see it?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Okay, the work that we have done in collaboration with the Olive Culture Institute, Cosenza, Italy. Some of analysis were carried out in Italy, and some analysis we have carried out in Pakistan in my university. And as you know, Pakistan is not considered as an olive producing country. So in Pakistan are introduced, okay, due to its oil characteristics and economic benefits. Okay. In Pakistan, there are about 44 million wild olive trees that exist native, and that is variety is the Filigina, and especially in different provinces like Punjab, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Balochistan, and Azad Kashmir area. Okay, this Oil Aroma is planted in different areas of Pakistan under the Italian project, promotion of olive cultivation for economic development and poverty alleviation by the Italian government. So our main object, the main objective of the Italian project was to increase the olive cultivation through new plantation in Balochistan province, where I belong, and another province in Pakistan. The province is considered like in Italy region. So in Italy region is bigger and the province is smaller, while in Pakistan the province is bigger. In Pakistan we have 4 provinces. Anyhow, so in the province of Balochistan, like you can say the region of Balochistan, olive is cultivated in different cities where the temperature, where the climate are suitable. So 2, 3, 4, 5, there are districts where the olive cultivation has been carried out. And you can see here the in Pakistan, the particular area here, it shows the olive cultivation that has been carried out by different projects, or the Olive Origina is already available over here. And here is the map. You can see here, this is a Quetta city where I live, and the other area, that is Khuzda, that is about 300 kilometers away from these 2 areas are apart, or the distance is about 300 kilometers. So in our studies, we collected the olives, and we carried out the analysis of the physical parameters. We did the analysis of total phenols, tocopherols, fatty acid, and the phenolic compounds. And the objective of our study was to extract the oil from the selected olive cultivars that are grown in the province of Balochistan, and in order to characterize the physiochemical composition, fatty acid profile, phenolic profile, vitamin E, quality indexes of the olive oil, extracted olive oil. The different cultivars were selected on the basis of biochemical and qualitative characteristics, and in order to examine the influence of geographical location. For example, the native cultivars that are brought from Italy and they were cultivated in Pakistan. So we wanted to know what the temperature or the climate effect on their biochemical profile. So for that purpose, we did this parameter. We did the analysis. Okay, for example, the quality indices, fatty acid, peroxide value, determination of specific absorption, and the obtained results were analyzed by using the statistical software, and I will jump to the results. So the quality characteristics of olive extracted from selected Italian cultivars were evaluated. The quality parameters, free fatty acids, anyhow. Okay, the dominating fatty acid that we were found in our analyzed samples were the oleic acid, then the linoleic acid, and the palmitic acid. The tocopherols that were analyzed, so they were also characterized, and then the analysis of phenolic compounds were carried out, and it revealed the presence of phenolic acid, phenolic alcohol, and the other compound phenolic compounds. So statistical methods that were used, SPSS, by using the SPSS. So the principal component analysis was also used, and the cluster analysis was applied to identify the main components and to classify the sample into groups in terms of fatty acids and phenolic profiles. So by using the statistical software, the first group, the Frontoio, Moriello, and Pandolino, and the multivarietal oil mixture. So they come into the first group, and they were characterized by high amount of oleic acid, mono and poly unsaturated fatty acids. And the second groups, in that figure, you can see there that the second groups were correlated with the oleuropein, tyrosol, and lingosyde glycones. And the effect of bioclimatological conditions on olive composition by principal component analysis, the obtained data that we did analysis was compared with those obtained from same cultivars in their original location and or different growing areas. Marked differences were observed in the composition of oleic, linoleic, palmitic, saccharides, and the total phenolic contents. So these differences, that what we think or what we have studied from the comparison of the obtained results with the internationally already published data, that could be due to the change in the geographical location and climatical condition of Balochistan. I remember that my mentor, my professor Giovanni Sindona, once he told that the olive oil that are available in Tunis, it has a different composition, and the olive oil that has in Italy. So that was the motto, because we wanted to do find out the bioclimatical effects. So the all cultivar that we have studied, you can see here in the slides, we did the PC analysis. So the Balochistan, the olive cultivar, and the Tunisian olive cultivars, and the Italian olive cultivar, and the Argentina olive cultivar. We did the comparison of same cultivars or different cultivars that are grown in different countries. So we studied about 7 cultivars and 1 monovarietal olive oil. So among all the studied cultivars, the Murillo and the Frontoio showed good climatic adaptability, and these two, especially these 2 cultivars, they preserved their unique characteristics. And further, the obtained results shows that the climatic condition of Balochistan, the southwestern province of Pakistan, are suitable for olive cultivation. And at the end of our studies, we also gave this recommendation for our agriculture department, to our government, is that the government of Pakistan, they should pay more attention to the cultivation of olive, as due to their low delta crop. So low delta crop, it needs, you people know very well, it needs less water. So in Pakistan, especially in my province where I belong, it's an arid area. So due to scarcity of water, so this crop is more suitable. So in my province, the people, the farmer, they cultivate fruit crops like apple, apricot, other. So they need more water. So Due to scarcity of water, the water level goes very down in the earth, so groundwater is not available. So these crop could be replaced with the olive. Okay, in Balochistan, in order to meet the growing demand for edible oils, obviously the population of Pakistan is very large, so we need oil, so we can meet the oil demand, and obviously the economic growth can be enhanced. So this was our collaborative work, which was published in a good journal. And especially I would like to thank Enzo Perry and especially Cinzia for this collaborative work, and obviously the grant that was received from the Higher Education Commission Pakistan to carrying out. So I hope that in future we can collaborate and we can get more good result for olive traceability and other parameters. So thank you very much giving me such opportunity.
Thank you, Ashif. Thank you very much.
Okay. Grazie, Enzo. Grazie mille.
And so, waiting for Mariem, because she's trying from a couple of hours to enter Teams, but she not yet was able to come in with her presentation, so we can wait her. Meanwhile, I would like to open a discussion. So for the public in the Q&A section of your Teams, you can make some consideration or questions if you want. And meanwhile, if someone of the lecturers would like to make some consideration or question on the other presentations. So I have one question for Elettra Marone. Elettra, I found very interesting your presentation. Thank you. And I would like to know if this application could be feasible and at which level? At which level, if it is still ready to be applied or is just in a preparatory part?
Yes, I think, now I think it is ready to apply. I shortly, I have only told so a few things, but we have now a database comprising almost 800 samples coming all over the world, and the model we built is very robust. And the very interesting thing is that we had also the two groups of the Evo and not Evo are not so well separated, but we have a belt. We could define it as a shadow line, I don't know, not unequivocally recognized as Evo or not Evo by the panelists or the tool. We have this borderline, and in this last work, we are trying to establish in a statistical way the lower and upper threshold of this belt, so to have a good instrument to in some way separate the two categories, because I think there is a problem at the base due to the definition of the extra virgin olive oil, because the border is not so net. It is not possible to distinguish perfectly with the line, but we have a belt between the two groups. But I think we have also the possibility, and we are trying also to use rock curve and false positive and negatives to establish the cost of our mistakes. Okay, I think. And we are trying on the same database to try to distinguish, because we have a lot of samples, different cultivars, blend, oils supplied by the mills, by the farmers at the supermarket. So we are trying to explore this data to try to distinguish also the genetic origin and the geographical origin. This instrument could also be used during the different phase of the processing. For example, we can use at all the stages. This is a possibility, for example, to use this instrument. That is very useful maybe in the future for routinary analysis, because is very, very quick to use. We can perform also 100 analyses in a day without sample manipulation, pre-treatment. Oh no, and then contemporary to the sensory analysis. So this is very interesting. I think we are trying to explore all the data we have. We need a little time more. And
thank you, Elettra. Thank you very much. Very interesting.
Thank you.
Other considerations on the lecturers, on the presentation? I found also very interesting. All the presentations are very interesting, but in my opinion, for what I'm main expert, I found very interesting also the presentation by Lisa Acola, and I would like to ask her if she is thinking to some specific application for olive oils, bottles or cans or whatever on the olive oil sector.
Yes, thank you. I suppose, well, I should know more about olive oils before answering this, but perhaps the sensitivity to temperatures might be issue for olive oils. So perhaps showing that the temperature has not been too high at any point of the life cycle would be probably one thing to consider. And yeah, and of course providing more information about the traceability, whether actually the bottles are coming and who is producing them. Of course, this way the transparency of the value chain can be improved. At least here in Finland, it seems to be quite important for the consumers to know where the products are coming and are they produced keeping ethical issues in mind, and are the workers treated properly and well, not animal welfare with the olive oil case is not probably an important topic, but yeah, I would think something like that.
Thank you very much. So in the Q&A, many questions are on the slides. If it is possible to have the slides, I think yes, but under request. So if you are interested in some specific presentation, you can ask directly to the lecturer. Or if you can't remember the email, you can write to the info and registration email, cristina.cecchini@crea.gov.it. So I don't know, Cinzia, we can wait some more for Mariam, or do you think it's not possible for her to connect?
So just Maria sent me a photo that says enter your code.
Okay.
And it's the email is that marian@greentechtraining.onmicrosoft.com, but still has this page where it's enter the code. So I don't know what to suggest.
We gave her all the suggestions possible. It's a couple of hours that we try to let her connect in. And so I don't know if anybody has anything else to say, or because in the Q&A there are no other questions. Yes, there is a question on the Q&A. Are there smart tags able to show damages due to exposition to light for extra virgin olive oil? Maybe Lisa could reply to this question.
Yes, thank you. Yes, there are even commercial inks available that can that change their color when when exposed to light too much. So these are called photochromic inks. So yes, that's definitely a possibility to do for olive oil case.
Thank you. Thank you. Other consideration, Professor Panizzi or Federico?
Actually, yeah, I wanted to ask her, just for her, a lot of questions. And another thing I have seen in your presentation, you were showing some smart tags, and I thought were beer bottles, isn't it? Or yes. I might be wrong. Which kind of application did you develop in that framework?
Yes, so in that beer bottle case, it was a temperature indicator, and it was a kind of a simple case just to show if your beer is at an optimal temperature to be consumed. So it was like a sort of a fun application. But because we had this beer production line in the project, it was easy to demonstrate this temperature case with that product, although it's not that crucial for a beer if it's exposed to too high or too low temperature during the life cycle. But it could be.
I wouldn't say that.
Well, yeah, of course.
Actually, in craft beer can be really crucial. That for this reason I was telling you.
Okay.
And can mess up the quality, really the quality of the product, light and temperature. And in some kind of beer, you have still alive yeasts, so you can have yeasts that are eating even complex sugar can be activated again and carbonate too much your beer. Bottles can explode, a lot of stuff can happen, or beer just get bad. So it's interesting, very interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Is this kind of labels reversible or irreversible?
It can be either way. So depending on the application.
For beer.
Yeah, for the beer, in our case, it was reversible because it was for this drinking at correct temperature. But for temperature, it could also be irreversible, depending on what temperature we are targeting at. For example, for this honey jar case, we had an irreversible temperature indicator there. So it changed permanently its color after being at plus 50 Celsius degrees. So it's possible both ways.
And another small detail, just link it to the question just Corrado made you. Is it possible in the irreversible tag form to have a sign of misuse of or exposure to higher or lower temperature of your range for a certain period of time? So are there tags like more than 5 hour over 2 degree more than your range will be activated? Or
yeah, that's also possible, but then it's not just an ink, it's more like a time temperature indicator that is a more complex system. But I didn't present this. We also had a pilot where we had this idea that if a meat product had been in too high temperature for over 30 minutes, there would be permanent change, but it wasn't a cheap solution.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask you for.
Yeah.
But it's always passive, right?
Yeah, in theory, it's possible.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's passive.
Yeah.
It's not, okay.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you.
Professor Fanizzi, you have something to...
Just a general comment. I've seen that most of the presentation, they have nothing to do with genetics. I don't know why they keep subsidizing and funding genetic studies. That is happening also on the Xylella. Well, if you see for Xylella, for example, if you have a search on Scopus, there are above roughly 70 papers published crossing Apulia and Xylella, but in-field treatments you can count on 1 or 2 hands the number. So they keep subsidizing genetics. Most of the presentation, they had nothing to do with genetics.
Of course. And so you want to say something on this?
Yes. My comment is that I hope we can work together, to validate traceability methodologies to assess the olive oil origin, and I hope also we can work together to guarantee the origin to consumers. That's my idea, my need, because we are now ready to assess the origin, to validate our method, chemical methods, of course, not only genetically assessed and validated, but I think that chemometrics is ready to assess the olive oil origin.
I analyzed.
Can I please add something?
Yes, of course.
Okay, Professor Fanizzi. Professor Fanizzi, yes, during my PhD work in Oliviculture Institute, I worked with Dr. Enzo in the molecular marker like SSR. We did the analysis. So in Pakistan, there are certain olive cultivar that has been imported and they are planted. So we have some problems because some cultivars are mixed. We don't know exact their names. There are a lot of cultivars. So that's why we very much carefully we selected 7 cultivars. Frantoio, Tobratica, like this. So there are some cultivars, or the farmer or the agriculture people say that we did the cross and it is very good. So we were not sure its particular name. So in future, I would love to work with the genetics because in order to see DNA studies. So if there is some type of mutation happen, like Frantoio, that is available in Italy and that is cultivated in Pakistan, obviously. So when we say that Frantoio shows very good adaptability, so we can see what kind of mutation it has, because you know very well that abiotic stress and the different types of. We did also the protein study with the same cultivars. We did on the basis of the protein, we did differentiated the cultivars, and we have not yet published our work, but our PhD scholar work with the proteins, and we would love to work with the DNA studies. So I hope if we'll get some project, so it will be very nice. So we can see the origin, that is the Frontoio is in Italy and Frontoio in Pakistan, is the genetic makeup is same, and what is the chemometric differences. So it will be very, very nice. Good suggestion. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I didn't mean that is not important genetics. Actually, all the models you have seen of my cultivars, they've been all checked by Samantha Zelasco first. So when we do the model, we must be sure that we are talking about Coratina or Moraiolo or whatever. Okay. But once you have done that, please just found equally the two things. I mean, genetics and other things.
Okay.
I have a general consideration. During the COVID with Cinzia, we tried to elaborate a data set she produced. I can't remember which kind of analysis was this database. However, she tried with her traditional chemometric analysis, and we tried using artificial intelligence algorithm with a lot of success using this approach. My question, my consideration is for Professor Fanizzi, but also for Enzo, Cinzia, if this approach could help in this kind of traceability determination. Because we know that there are many different factors affecting the olive oil product. So we have different cultivars, different habitat. We have, of course, different countries and climatic aspects. But all these aspects influence the product, the olive oil product. So could, in your opinion, artificial intelligence help in this aspect? And are there quite a large data set to be analyzed with this kind of approaches that require a lot of information to be trained?
Enzo?
I can answer anyway.
Okay.
With the artificial intelligence, we proved with our last works we did together that it's possible to discriminate, it's possible to have this kind of traceability and to prove that an oil is Italian more than from other countries. However, and also has to be pointed out that is quite easy analysis way to operate. Is very good for the olive mill to have this kind of facilities. This is something that is feasible for anyone. But according to me, as I'm a chemist as well, and I perform very complicated analysis sometimes when it comes to analyze olive oil for isotopic measurements, trace element measurements. Of course, there is maybe 2-3 days of work for extraction from the analysis and the processing of the data. But still, I think that the synergy with everything, the more techniques we can employ, the better is to create a data set, a data bank, bank data, where traceability can be performed. In fact, what I said at the beginning of my presentation, we have a lot of laws, but still, what is written on the label is not proved by any instrumental technique. Anyway, I'm hearing that Mariam is going to participate. I don't know. Is it going to be? What's going on? Maybe we did it. I don't know. It's like Mariam is going to invite me. Shall I accept myself? I don't know what to do.
I'm trying to ask.
I don't know if I answered. So I believe that isotopic measurement, trace element, and also ERAM, yes, the Professor Panizzi MRM analysis are really the only way to discriminate, I suppose, the origin of a product. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, my opinion is that having a sample telling where it comes from is something which is going to be very difficult in the future, because, you know, nowadays several tens of countries, we have learned Pakistan as well, but several tens of countries are producing olive oil. New Zealand, Australia, everywhere. So our idea recently, we started going in the field collection of Enzo in Rende and trying to build up a database. But first of all, we understand that the Coratina in Rende is different from the Coratina in north of Bari.
It's very different.
And then we decided to change way, and everything started from that, I suppose. But nowadays, our idea is to put the gate around, to specify a specific production, and then Federico Pallottino may help in that with all this chain recording and so on. And then you have to just certify that your product is like that. And in that case, it's very difficult to counterfeit it. It's very difficult to have exactly the same made up product.
I agree, but it's all a sort. We have to think that is our biological systems, so we can approach the problem thinking that we want to go to the goal as closer as we can, but we cannot really reach the point of have the absolute control of the situation. So we just can have a certain degree of knowledge of the origins and all the rest. Then so if there's somebody that is thinking for years about how to fraud the system that you've been building, probably will succeed in some way. But the scope is to ensure the consumers and to create network and knowledge and exchange and trust between producers and consumers. And this will probably happen in 90% or 95% of the case, or 99 maybe. And that's the goal, I guess. Then the rest, the authorities will try to do something.
I ask you to Mariam Garshalawi. Welcome, Mariam. I can present.
Welcome for everybody. I'm very sorry. Finally, I can join you. Finally.
Welcome, Mariam. I'm present our friend Mariam Garshalawi. She's a researcher at Olive Tree Institute in Sfax, Tunisia. She works in a research laboratory on productivity, quality, development, and competitiveness of olive products. The communication deal on non-conformity of some varieties introduced in Tunisia with the purity criteria required by international standards.
Yes.
Thank you.
I will try to share with you my screen and tell me if you have seen the presentation.
Not yet. You have to click on the top right share screen, and then you have to share your screen. You have to click on screen.
Okay.
Very good.
Here we are. Yes.
You see it?
Yes.
Yes.
You can start your presentation with the F5 if you want.
We can begin the presentation. As have said Mr. Perry, the presentation have a title of non-conformity of some varieties introduced in Tunisia with the purity criteria required by international standards. As everyone knows, the olive tree and olive oil require great importance for Tunisia on several levels: economic, environmental, cultural, social. Indeed, the olive genetic heritage enjoys great varietal richness with more than 60 varieties identified for the moment. 30% of its arable land is devoted to olive cultivation. The olive cultivation represents nearly 50% of the total agricultural production. The olive oil exports account 50% of total agriculture exports and 5.5% of total exports. Then we have more than 60 local varieties in our country, but the most important varieties are 6 or 7. Despite the importance of olive growing and the area allocated to this tree, this sector suffers from acute irregularity, as shown in the following. That you can see that for the production we suffer from irregularity, which illustrates the large fluctuation in Tunisian production from one season to another. This production remains highly dependent on rainfall with a ratio of up to 1:4. With us was the case between the last 2 seasons. It should also be noted that Tunisia recorded the previous campaign a record production with more than 40,000 tons, while for these campaigns the estimated production will not exceed 150,000 tons. As shown in the graph below, Tunisia is an exporter per excellence, where local consumption rarely exceeds 15,000 tons. As the consequence, exportation fluctuates also from one year to another. Tunisia has forged itself today a place of choice in the world market of olive oil by exporting around 75% of its production and by placing itself as the second largest exporter in the world after the European Union, with an average of 157 tons per year over the past 5 years. However, Tunisian olive oil exports recorded very variable level during this 5 season, from very low level to a very high level. In order to consolidate its position in the international market, Tunisia is trying to stabilize its production by reviewing driving methods and density. For this reason, the hyper-intensive mode is taking up more and more space in Tunisia in order to stabilize its production and increase profitability. As local variety do not adapt to the hyper-intensive mode, foreign varieties are introduced in Tunisia, mainly Arbikina, Arbozana, and Koroneki. shown in the table, in this table, these varieties are rapidly evolving in the Tunisia territory. This painting only represents a small region located in central Tunisia. The town or the region of Kirwan is a central region where foreign variety occupies in 2010 only 1,100 hectares, that increased to 2,600 hectares in this year. In this work, we tried to study the behavior of these varieties introduced in different regions in Tunisia, north, center, and south, during different stages of maturity, and we focused on the purity criteria such as acidic composition, the sterolic composition. This study is of great importance of a producer-exporter country like Tunisia, where production must comply with international standards in terms of purity and quality criteria. We will study, as said, three foreign varieties, Koroneki, Arbozana, and Arbequina, that will be compared with the most known local varieties like Chitwi, Shimleli, Chitwi in the north, Shimleli in the center, and Zarazi in the south. We have determined the sterolic composition of these varieties, Shimleli, Arbequina, Arbozana, Koroneki, in the center of our country, and we have constate that the composition, the results of sterile composition for center region show that the stage of maturity has no significant effect on the percentage of sterol in the oil. In addition, it can be seen that the Shimleli and Arbozana variety, the Shimleli, the local variety, the most known variety in Tunisia, and Arbozana, the Spain introduced variety, give oil that comply with the international standard of IOC. On the other hand, the Koroneki variety, for the three stages of maturity, the stage of maturity that we have studied, it has compesterol, the sterol compound, compesterol continents greater than 4, so the value lowered by the EOC, so we must use the decision 3 as required by EOC, the International Olive Oil Council. So, based in the tolerated limit and the decision 3, we can confirm that the Koroneki grown in the region of Kirwan gives oil that do not meet the standard for sterolic composition and more specifically compesterol content. Regarding the Arbequina variety, the oil from the first stage of maturity compiles with the standard with values tangent very near to the tolerated limits, while for the other two stages of maturity and after consultation with the decision 3, stage 2 is non-compliant to the international standard as shown by this table. If we pass to another region of Gebes, south region, we constate that local variety, the Zarazi variety is the local variety in the Tunisian south, produce oil which comply with the standard Arbozana, even in the difficult climatic condition of southern Tunisia, where condition is hot and there is no rain. It retains a sterolic composition in accordance with the IOC standard for the two other varieties which represent risk of non-conformities, namely Koroneki and Arbicina. We see for the first that values of compesterol have even exceeded the limit of decision tree, 4.5%, and will be discarded directly. While for Arbicina, the oil will be discarded after consultation with the decision tree. For the North region, where is the table of the North region? It's Gibbs. Okay, wrong. For the North region, we have constated that the non-conformity with the limits established by the international standard is less severe, and we have constated a non-conformity with Arbicina, Koroneki, but with local variety like Chetui, we have constated that oils are conform to the norm. These non-conformities of steroid composition of the oil have been observed in several other countries, especially the new producer of oil, namely Australia, Argentina, Chile. Indeed, in Australia, more than 1,200 samples of oils, monovarietal oils, were collected over 12 years, representing all varieties and regions of the country. The results of this research are summarized in the following table. The results show that 30% of Australian oils studied show non-conformities in the terms of compesterol content with values that exceed the upper limit set by the International Olive Council. These studies have shown that the percentage of compesterol depends on several factors, mainly the variety, climatic conditions, the manufacturing process. Although the sterolate composition of the oil is a criterion of purity that can prove its authenticity and detect possible fraud with lower quality oils. The only sterol used after analysis to detect and prosecute olive oil fraud is brassicasterol, a strong indicator of the presence of rapeseed or canola oil, while compesterol is never used for this purpose. For this previously mentioned reasons that the Australian standard took into account of olive oil is made from olives in more and more countries from new varieties and a wide varieties of climates and proposed intervals that allow to include the maximum of olive oil produced as shown in the table, the following table. Excuse me. Arbicina, Koroneki, and Arbosana in our study have shown a very interesting quantitative potential, but also non-conformities with the purity criteria, especially for the sterolic composition. This non-compliance has been the subject of several researches in many countries, such as Australia, USA, Chile, which have made requests for to the International Olive Oil Council to revise the commercial standard applicable for olive oil, which at its current version eliminates a lot of naturally produced oil and excellent quality criteria. Then, as said in your presentation, a lot of criteria or pure criteria that allow us to detect fraud limit new producer of olive oil to commerce oil that are conform to standards. Then this study has a subject to ask standardization organisms like Olive Oil Council to revise limits and to allow to very good oil quality to be commercialized as extra virgin olive oil. Thank you for your attention. Sorry another time for for this accident.
No problem about that. Thank you, Marianne. So on the Q&A, there are no more questions. If anybody else have consideration on this last presentation or on other presentations, does anybody want to say something? No. So we can go to conclude this webinar. I would like to thank all the participants from the direction. They told me that we are almost 100 persons which are following this webinar. It was for me very interesting, and I would like to thank the scientific committee and the technical secretariat who made this connection possible. First of all, Simone Vasta and Francesco Tocci for their direction, technical direction. And of course, I would like to thank all of you lecturers, which made a great job for to present your very, very interesting results. And I hope that this webinar gave us an opportunity to open our mind and create connection with each other. So thank you very much, and see you.
Thank you for the organization.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. Everybody.
Grazie.
Bye.
Marian.
Thank you. Bye.
Ciao.
Bye bye.
Ciao.
Bye.
Alla prossima.
Bye.
Grazie.
To see soon.
Oh, sure.
To see.
Bye bye.
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 Bye. Good evening.
You
Everybody.
too. Goodbye.
Ciao Franco. A
Ciao,
presto.
ciao Enzo.
Ci vediamo a Monteroni, dai.
Ciao, ci vediamo. Ciao.
Ciao Elettra. Good evening.